All right, thank you so much. And that actually moves just into our last question, which I'll be more than happy to answer. I think it's important that, in case people don't know, there are essentially three main decision points that you'll have to worry about or know about when you go through this process. As Jayla mentioned, the very first one is called early action. Early action is essentially you apply to a school ahead of time than normal. Some schools vary in when that early action actual date is, but from November to about the start of January is often when you would expect there to be an early action for a school. All that means is that you're sending your application materials earlier to them, and then you'll get a response earlier. Where some people might not hear back from the school until around March or April. If you do early action, you're guaranteeing that you'll get a response sometimes as early as December if you're applying in November, or as early as, end of January/February if you're applying later. The next one is regular decision. Regular decision is oftentimes around that January point as well, or the very start of February. That is, you're going to get their decision later on in the cycle. So you could expect around March or April is when you'll hear back from them. That is normally, I think, also like perfectly fine, no matter which one you do. There was a question about, does one increase your chances of being accepted? I would love for other people to tune in on this one as well. I will be more than happy to also answer from what I know. But before I get to that, the last one that I think is really important to note is called early decision. Early decision is a binding acceptance. So you will also do it early in November, December, also in January, you can do early decision. But if you get into that school, you're saying that you're going to go no matter what, 100%. Oftentimes, it's not recommended that you do early decision for a school unless that is like your top school that you really want to go to. You don't care how much money they'll give you, you will say yes no matter what. That is the only time I'd ever recommend doing early decision. And even then, if it is your top school, sometimes you might be better off applying in the regular decision for that school, just so you don't have to worry necessarily about getting trapped with a school that you literally cannot afford. Because oftentimes, what will happen is that if you get accepted to a school early decision, you have to withdraw all of your applications to every other school that you applied to and put your deposit down essentially immediately after. So unless that is a position that you're really able to be in, I necessarily wouldn't recommend that. In terms of your chances for early decision, there is definitely an increase. If you say that you're going to go to the school no matter what, that looks better. However, it's once again a very big look on your other side, so it's not always recommended. For early action versus regular decision, I think, at least from what I know, they're not that significantly different. If it's a really competitive school to get into, early action versus regular decision are going to be equally as competitive. Some would say even the earlier one might be more competitive because the people who are also applying early are the people who've been going through and doing a lot of work versus people who are applying regular might not be nearly as competitive. But if other people want to tune in on that distinction between applying early versus regular, please feel free to.
I would say that, like Roger said, if you do early decision, you definitely have a higher chance of getting into your college, like on that, because you're basically saying that this is my school. Like I'm gonna go to it. Like there's no other school in my mind. You're my school. I'm gonna go. So they're obviously gonna be like, okay, they're more determined. They're gonna come to my school then. They're gonna get accepted. But for early action and regular decision, it's really much the same thing. You're just getting for early action, you're just getting a decision earlier. It's not really saying that you're like, oh, because I did it earlier, that I'm gonna get into the school more easier because not everyone else has to like put their application in. That's not really true. It's just saying that, oh, I just want my decision earlier. But yeah, you're gonna get the like you're gonna get attention from the college because you did it earlier, but you can easily get like deferred into regular decision. That's what happened to me with my top school. I did early action, but I still ended up getting deferred into regular decision, and then you can still end up getting waitlisted. So it's not really saying, oh, if I do early action, I have a higher chance of getting into the college. It's really just the same thing as regular decision because you can get moved to regular decision from doing early action. But if you do early action, you get your decision earlier, which means that you can either be like, oh, if I got admitted, that means you have like a longer chance of deciding if you want to get into that college or not. Like if you want to commit there or not. If you do more, if you do regular decision, you have like a little less time for your decision. But actually, early action gives you more time to make your decision more than regular decision does.
Yeah, definitely echoing all of that was said. Anyone else want to go?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, for quickly, when it comes to early action, what I've heard from when I went to like when I had school, and I've heard like, them speak. And this question actually has came up from students at my high school and the students who were like, there. I will say that I've heard that from the college admission themselves, they do encourage students do early action. They encourage it, but again, it's not like a big difference, but the colleges do, again, they do encourage it. And if you really want to know for sure, I think early action is more of like a safe route for you to do. Like it's really safe because you're doing it early, you're going to get a response early and all that. And with colleges, again, like really encouraging students to do that, I would say go ahead with it. Don't wait till regular decision sorry, whichever one it was. I got to mix that up to do that. So, but if you are unsure, again, email the college, ask them about it, because some colleges may actually, may care more about early action than they do about regular action and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. I think another point too, some schools actually do a lot more in their early action versus regular decision too. I think one school that I know for a fact comes to mind is Northeastern. They accept like I would say like 50% of their class from early action versus regular decision. So I think you should look at the stats of the school and see that as well. And I know Miriam, you had something you wanted to add as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say early decision, while you can like research the actual number and see the difference of the acceptance rate, because a lot of times like the acceptance rate will like look higher, like it can be like a 6% acceptance rate. But when you apply early decision, not action, it will go up to like maybe 12%. And you may think that was an advantage, but there is a slight disadvantage to early decision, is that most of the most hardworking, the most people who have been in this college application process since they're freshmen with like the insane resumes, they usually apply early decision and early action. So your application will be put against the hardest of the hard when you do early decision. So it doesn't exactly mean that you have a higher chance of getting in. It's just that the acceptance rate is higher because all of those really talented people are applying early decision. And that you should also take into account when you're choosing early decision or early action, because the binding aspect is really serious as well. So don't just look at the higher acceptance rate and think, okay, I should apply early decision, because it is binding and it is difficult as well.
Yeah, it's binding, and these colleges have no guarantee to give you any money. So, like, unless some schools actually do, they say that like if you do early decision, you're guaranteed to get $20,000 at the minimum. A lot of schools don't though. So doing that research is great. I see that we're 4 minutes past time, and I want to be respectful both of the panelists' time as well as all of our guests who came to talk and listen to you guys. So, from my side, thank you all again for coming and listening to us. And I would give it over to the founder again of SCC to just give us any final remarks before we close out for today.
Well, thank you. I want to say thank you to our amazing student speakers. We hear what they went through, what the do and don't. They also be able to share their experience for admission to university. So thank you. I just wanted to add a little bit more, like 3 out of our speakers today, they also did their service learning. They did extracurriculum activity for volunteering, and they were able to volunteer in Tanzania. So I just wanted to add that if you're diaspora students and maybe you're visiting your home country, it's good sometimes, maybe in the summer vacation, you go to visit your uncle, your auntie, make sure that at least you put some time to do service work where you're going to vacation, especially overseas, because that will help you during your writing your essay. So at least you could tell that experience of activity during your college application or your statements. And thank you, everyone. Thank for everyone who was able to log in and watch an amazing question. And thanks next time. And this is our first webinar, so hopefully next year I might have another one. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And we were going to share, since this recording is this session is recording, so we're going to put it on YouTube so we can share for everybody, the ones who are unable to attend. Thank you.